Hello everyone. Welcome to Dinner Table Belonging. Today's topic is Deaflympics 2025 Tokyo. I would be interviewing people who attended there and listened to their experiences. Let's welcome our guests. So we have Siddharth and Dhananjay. Siddharth is a board member of Asia Deaf Sports. Dhananjay, a silver medalist from the 2021 Brazil Deaflympics, also participated in Tokyo. Did I miss anything? You can add more if needed. No, all is good. The General Olympics started first. Then Deaflympics started later. I remember that the Olympics were first hosted in Athens, Greece, in 1896. After that, we'd think Paralympics started, but no, the Deaflympics began in Paris, France in 1924. After that, the Paralympics for people with disabilities began in 1960 in Rome, Italy. We may think it was Olympics, then Paralympics, but actually the Deaflympics started before the Paralympics. Now that the Deaflympics took place in Tokyo in 2025, many deaf people attended. I want to interview them and learn about their experiences there. Are you ready for this interview? Oh yeah. Siddharth, you are an active board member of the Asia Pacific Sports Council for the Deaf. I haven't seen you participate in international level sports before. So, how did you become a board member of the council? Well, I didn't become a board member at the Asia level directly. Before that, I first became a board member at the state level. Before becoming a board member at the state level, a person should understand sports management and have knowledge and skills related to sports. During childhood, I loved playing badminton and I didn't have national level experience. This is back in 2012. After that, I chose to focus on my studies rather than sports. After 10 years, in 2022, I decided to return to sports after completing my BA and getting a job. When I came to Indo in 2023, I was surprised to see how much badminton had grown in 10 years, with many more skilled players compared to 2012. I decided to stop pursuing sports, but I was happy to see how much they had grown and improved their skills. In 2021, my father served as the vice president of the state board games for the deaf, and I saw him face both challenges and advantages in that role. In Uttarakhand, our community encouraged me to become the general secretary, so I took on that role at the state level in 2021. I started managing things until I attended the annual general meeting organized by the All India Sports Council for the Deaf. There were many improvements and better systems compared to Uttarakhand. When I got involved, they suggested me that I could become a board member of the AISD. In 2023, I won the election and became a board member of the council. The Asia Pacific Sports Council for the Deaf sent emails to national councils across different countries, inviting applications for board member positions at the Asia level. The AISD held a meeting and reviewed the criteria for becoming a board member at the Asia level, which included strong English, international sign, and communication skills. I met the criteria, so the AISD gave me permission to apply for the election for the position. So I applied for the position and won the election. After 60 years, I became the first person from India to serve as a board member. People in India were really happy about this. Yes, I am proud of you too. Apart from being a board member, you usually communicate using international sign. What difference do you find between the AISD and the Asia Pacific Sports Council for the Deaf? India has a very large population, so around 3,000 to 3,500 athletes participate. That's almost the same as the total number of participants in the Asian Deaf Sports event. Because India has such a large population, India has the only one flag, whereas Asia has many flags, but the number of participants are the same. AICD and APSCD have different structures and systems. The AICD focuses on government advocacy, while APSCD mainly organizes sports events. APSCD has 7 board members, while AICD has 16, because India has a larger deaf population. The APSCD mainly focuses on managing and hosting sports events, so it has a different system. Wonderful. So the number of deaf participants who attended the Tokyo Deaflympics was 111, right? Yes, 111 participants attended. What was your experience visiting the Tokyo Deaflympics in terms of the organization, management, and guidance? Please share your thoughts. To be honest, it was my first time attending the Deaflympics. It had been my dream since childhood. I felt I was not at the same level as other deaf participants. It was also my first time attending as a board member. India won 20 medals at the Deaflympics after a long time. India won 60 medals in the previous Deaflympics in Brazil. This time they increased the total to 20 medals. In Japan, the organizing committee was mainly made up of hearing people who organized the Deaflympics, and that was one concern. Besides that, everything else was very good. They were kind-hearted and always ready to support whenever someone lost their belongings. They were able to recover the lost belongings within a few hours. Of course, my bag was lost. But the organizing committee was very cooperative and helped me find it, instead of simply saying that you are responsible for your own belongings. In Japan, people follow rules and are quite kind. But there was a communication gap due to the lack of interpreters, which led to language barriers. You mean there were language barriers between Japanese and English? Of course, international visitors also faced communication challenges, so they used translation apps. Translation apps had to be used instead of communication through gestures, but that was the only major challenge. However, apart from that, everything else was really good. So, from you, I'd like to know, Siddharth has shared his experience as a board member. Now, can you share your experiences at the Tokyo Deaflympics as a deaf tennis player? I'm expecting that your experience will be different from Siddharth's, not the same, right? Oh yes, I have a couple of points. The first thing was that I also faced the same experience with the language barriers. Secondly, I'm a vegetarian and do not eat meat, so I faced challenges with the food and I had to be very tolerant. Fortunately, I brought Indian food with me to Japan, which helped me adjust. One more thing, let me share something positive about a volunteer. My friend lost his phone. While attending the opening ceremony, he accidentally left his mobile phone on the bus without realizing it. We were seated at the opening ceremony and the bus had left. I didn't remember the bus number, but I remember the color of the bus. My friend realized that he had lost his phone and asked me for help. I tried to track the location of his phone, but it was unsuccessful. So we started losing hope, just like when phones get lost in India and are never required, forcing us to buy a new phone. My friend was very worried and kept insisting that I help find his phone. So we approached a volunteer for help. The volunteer was very cooperative and went to inform the team. After 2 hours, the mobile phone was surprisingly returned to him. Realizing how different the situations in India. I would like to add something related to this. Apart from the Deaflympics, while exploring Japan, I once visited an Apple store. Just like we have the Apple stores in India. While entering the Apple store in Japan, what surprised me the most was that there were no anti-theft security tags on the phones. Unlike in India, where we usually see anti-theft security tags attached to phones, there were none in Japan. So I asked my friend why there were no strict security arrangements there. He explained that CCTV cameras are installed everywhere. If someone steals, strict action can be taken on their passport, including a ban from entering Japan again. Stealing rarely happens in Japan. Japan reflects the honesty and kind-hearted nature of its people. Even inside the conference hall, I hardly noticed any CCTV cameras because people generally do not have the habit of stealing. Similar to the Apple store, they only had CCTV cameras installed and no anti-theft security tags. As the people are disciplined and honest and do not have the habit of stealing, that is why the mobile phone was able to be returned. Nowadays, many deaf people are talking about this issue not only in India but across the world. What is the issue? During the Tokyo Deaflympics, after the results and medals were announced, this issue started being discussed around the world. Most of the medal winners were cochlear implant users and hearing aid users. Comparatively, very few deaf signing people achieved medals, which seemed unfair. Representation of sign language users deaf people was significantly lesser. There is a policy stating that people with hearing loss above 56 decibels are eligible to participate. But does that really feel fair? Should there be separate categories? What do you think, Siddharth? There can be several perspectives on this issue. When we look around the world, in India, Slovakia, Canada, and other countries, different viewpoints exist. Let me summarize this for you. I took part in a badminton championship for the first time in 2012. It was hosted in Aurangabad, Maharashtra. It was a national level experience. At that time, most participants were fully deaf and there were very few cochlear implant users. But after 10 years, when I attended sports events in Indo in 2023, I noticed a major increase in cochlear implant users, almost equal to the number of deaf participants. Later, in March 2025, when a sports event was hosted in Gujarat, the number of cochlear implant users had increased more than the number of signing deaf participants. There is nothing wrong with that. While selecting participants for the Deaflympics, there is no policy to ensure equal representation or separate categories for signing deaf participants and cochlear implant users. The policy of the International Committee of Sports for the Deaf states that anyone with hearing loss above 56 decibels can participate. Even at the Asian level, the same system was followed by the AISCD. Participants with hearing loss above 56 decibel were selected according to the policy for the Deaflympics in Tokyo, Japan. Eventually, I noticed that many cochlear implant users participated in shooting events and won medals. However, those participants were not directly managed under the AICD. AICD has signed an MOU to collaborate with NRAI, the National Rifle Association of India. Since the All India Sports Council for the Deaf never managed shooting events directly, most of them came from hearing backgrounds and their parents were experts who trained and guided them from childhood. Later, they moved into the National Rifle Association of India, but their hearing loss above 56 decibel was noticed. So the NRAI referred them to All India Sports Council for the Deaf for suitable categories. Hence, since the AIST does not directly conduct shooting events, it collaborated with the National Rifle Association of India while following the 56 decibel hearing loss rule. Participants with hearing loss above 56 decibel were selected to participate in Deaflympics. There is nothing wrong with that, as 56 decibel rule was followed. We didn't propose it. After returning from the Olympics, many discussions started. Some people felt that deaf participants and cochlear implant users should have separate categories. Meanwhile, others said that these feelings naturally arise because many people feel that cochlear implant users may have certain privileges to win medals that deaf participants may not have. Debates and challenging discussions take place within the community. Apart from that, after the Deaflympics ended, a conference was held, which I attended. It was an important conference discussing the same concerns. Questions regarding cochlear implant users were raised. One important question was who decided the 56 decibel as the benchmark. The International Committee of Sports for the Deaf, established in 1924 in Paris, France, decided that. At that time, there were discussions with the IOC regarding the recognition of the Deaf Olympics. During those discussions, they studied the spectrum of hearing loss. Normally, the hearing range is measured between 0 and 110 decibels, and they divided the spectrum accordingly. People with a hearing loss between 0 and 55 decibel compete in the Olympics, whereas those with a hearing loss from 56 to 110 decibel are considered eligible under the deaf category. This policy was created in 1924, officially approved, and it is the same policy that is still being followed today. But now technology is rapidly advancing. Many people are using advanced hearing devices and cochlear implants. So cochlear implants users have now merged into the deaf category. Earlier, technology was not this advanced and there were a larger number of signing deaf participants. But now cochlear implants and hearing support systems are widely used and they have better skills. Others said that separate categories could be proposed because if we compare this with the Paralympics, there are different categories for different physical disabilities. Is it similar to having separate categories for blind participants, right? No, actually, participants come under separate specific classification categories in the Paralympics. In India, National Sports Federation has mainly 3 separate groups exist. The first one is the Paralympic category. The second one is the SOB, Special Olympics Bharat. And the third one is the AISCD for deaf sports. These are completely separate systems and mixing them is generally not possible. Within the Paralympic system itself, there are different classifications based on CA, PA, CITY, capacity. Capacity means what a person is able to do according to their abilities, right? For example, people with one leg are placed in one category, while people with one hand are placed in another category in each sport based on their capacity. But for the deaf people, there is still only one broad category. Anyone with hearing loss above 56 decibels is grouped together. The ISCD said that a proposal for separate categories could be taken forward by gathering more votes and submitting it to the International Olympic Committee for approval. Only after that can changes be considered for the main Deaf Olympic event. At present, no final proposal has been submitted yet, but hopefully this discussion will create a major impact in the future. In 2027, during the ISCD conference in Austria, many important updates are expected. I will attend the conference and definitely share the updates afterward. Great, that's really interesting. So, if cochlear implant users remove their devices, will their decibel level remain the same or become different? Okay. No matter whether they are cochlear implant users or hearing aid users, both are required to remove their devices while participating in the sports events. Outside the competition, they can use them. Suppose they remove their cochlear implants, their hearing level would mostly be around 90 decibel. So it can be equal to the deaf participants. In badminton, participants are not allowed to use hearing devices while playing. It's mentioned in the policy. They must enter the field just like every other deaf participant. So if they remove the cochlear implant or hearing device during the event and their hearing level becomes around 90 decibel, if they wear cochlear implants, they are able to hear. Hence, on the field, they can compete equally. However, let us see what happens at the ISAD conference if the proposal gets accepted. Great. So, how about you, Dhananjay? Did you have any different experiences related to hearing devices? I had a similar experience. Removing the hearing device felt very uncomfortable because I had become used to wearing it. In 2017, I went to Chennai for a national level sports event and entered the field. Most of the participants were comfortable using sign language, but at that time, I was not comfortable with it at all. So, my coach handled the communication while I focused on the tennis practice. Didn't you know sign language at that time? Yes, I didn't know at all because I couldn't handle the stress of communicating through sign language. My coach took care of it. The next day, I had my match. When I entered the court, the referee told me that I could not participate while wearing my hearing aid. According to the rules, hearing devices were not allowed during the event. At that time, I didn't know about that policy. So, I apologized and removed the hearing aid. But honestly, I felt very uncomfortable. For me, it was very essential. Still, I accepted the policy. After removing it, I could not hear anything. I should have been able to hear, but I couldn't even properly sense the vibration or sound of the tennis ball while hitting it. I felt completely blacked out. Still, somehow I managed to play, and I won the match. Later, I got selected for the Deaflympics level. In our deaf group, I did not know sign language well, but I knew the basics of the sign alphabet. There were 2 deaf participants who used sign language and 7 hard of hearing participants. Out of them, only 3 people knew sign language properly, while the remaining 4, including me, did not know it well. At that time, I used to watch deaf participants communicating in sign language. So, I asked my hard of hearing friends to translate their conversation for me. I also tried to communicate directly with the deaf participant. But while asking them questions, I felt like I was getting unrelated answers. I thought sign language was flawed. I decided to avoid interacting with deaf people because I felt more comfortable communicating with hard of hearing participants like myself. They understood me better than the deaf participant did. Then we went for the Olympics. For the deaf participants, communication was mainly for work and responsibilities, while for the hard of hearing participants, communication was more for leisure. During the COVID period, when everyone, including me, was staying at home, I received many links in one of my WhatsApp groups. Most of the MBM YouTube videos did not have subtitles, so I ignored them. But one day I found an MBM YouTube video with subtitles. It was an interview by MBM with Rajesh Ketkar, featuring a person who worked as an SBI manager. That particular video had a huge impact on me. I realized that my thoughts on deaf people was completely wrong. That day changed my mindset completely. I decided to learn sign language diligently for 6 months. It took me around 6 months. I used the deaf enabled application and also learned through YouTube videos. Gradually, I became much better at sign language. Later, when I attended another national level event, I met the same deaf participants again. This time, everyone was surprised to see me communicating in sign language. They asked me how I shifted from speech to sign language and learned it. I honestly admitted my mistake to them. I told them that earlier I used to avoid deaf people, but later I realized I was wrong. After that, I started involving myself with both the deaf circles and the hard of hearing circles. Great! Thank you for sharing your experience and also your personal change. I would like to add one more thing. I have seen struggles faced by both deaf people and hearing people. But in between them, I also have my own challenges as a hard of hearing person. If you look at me casually, you may think I am a hard of hearing person, but to be honest, I am deaf. From childhood, the only communication style I knew was speech because my parents taught me that way. But when I started interacting more with the deaf community, I realized something important. Deaf people often have better access to communication in certain situations because they use sign language fluently. For example, in meetings or conferences where interpreters are available, deaf people can understand the discussion completely. For me, as a hard of hearing person, I struggle to follow what is being discussed. I usually understand only about 30% of the information. To understand the rest, I have to depend on others. But many people avoid explaining it. That is one of the biggest challenges I face because I have to put in much more effort just to keep up. Information in Indian Sign Language is clear and accessible for deaf participants, but for me, the learning continues even after the session. I have to spend another 2 hours asking for clarification and completing my notes, which is very time consuming. One-on-one conversations are easier because I can use lip reading. However, when multiple people are speaking, I can hardly understand anything. Yes, I understand. This is why it is important to bring the value of sign language to hard of hearing people, and they must start learning sign language. Even during my college days, I struggled a lot to understand the content. For hearing people, understanding a concept may take only a few minutes or even a few seconds. But for me, sometimes it took almost 1 month to fully understand the same concepts of tennis strokes. The process of understanding takes a long time because it is difficult. I strongly believe sign language should be widely used by everyone. Then communication will become easier. Yes, I agree with that. The number of sign language users should definitely increase in the future. So Dhananjay, in badminton, which opponent would you like to play against the most? I would really like to play against a Russian player because it would be quite challenging and exciting. But since I lost a few games and some reasons, I missed my chance and couldn't play against them. Was there some confusion during the match while playing badminton? Yes, on the badminton court, I faced communication challenges with the referee. There was a language barrier, and badminton has many specific rules and signals that I couldn't fully understand at that time. Because of that confusion, I lost the previous match. The opponent who defeated me later got the chance to play against a Russian player, so I missed that opportunity. But it's okay. Hopefully, next time in 2029, I will make it. I still have 4 years to prepare myself and improve. Hopefully, you will achieve it. How was your overall experience? Were there any other challenges? Overall, everything was good, but there were still some challenges. The biggest one was obviously communication. Another challenge was related to the court itself. Outside the court area, the walls were painted pink. Because of that, I had difficulty seeing the shuttlecock clearly. Overall, the experience was good, but I still feel that this needs to be improved. Hopefully, by 2029, those things will improve and you will achieve your dream. So, according to the policy, people with hearing loss above 56 decibels can participate. Sign language also be added because the Deaflympics is a space for deaf community, culture and their shared experience. But in the future, with the rapid growth of technology, many participants may appear more like hearing people because of advanced hearing devices and cochlear implants. If that happens, will it still continue to be called the Deaflympics? Do you think it would be better to add sign language within the policy itself? What do you think, Siddharth? That's a very good question. It is possible to submit an appeal during the conference to the International Committee of Sports for the Deaf and also discuss it with the Indian Deaf Sports Authorities. If many countries vote for the same idea, then there is a possibility that sign language could receive stronger importance within the policy. But right now, I alone cannot make that decision. I observed participants from countries like Ukraine, Russia, and even Australia. I noticed that many of them mostly communicated through speech rather than sign language. Very few people actively used sign language. That gave me a similar concern about the future of Deaflympics with only speech rather than sign language. Let's say we add sign language to the policy. For example, as part of the Indian team, if our policies encourage sign language and we train our athletes accordingly, later at the international level, they suddenly expect international sign language. Then again, communication barrier will arise. We experienced something similar in Kochi, Japan. They had some international sign language users, but instead of depending fully on experienced sign language communicators, they brought university volunteers and trained them in sign language only for around 6 months before the Olympics. During the event, we could clearly see the communication challenges. So will the same situation continue in the future as well? We need proper clarity on this topic before we recommend it and more time for research to solve it. Yes, hopefully the authorities will make decisions carefully, increase awareness and bring the entire community together. Dhananjay, when did your badminton journey begin? What made you interested in sports? When I was around 8 years old, one day my father and I went outside and I saw some people playing cricket. I told my father that I also wanted to play. He agreed, bought me a cricket bat, and then I started playing cricket regularly. From the age of 8 to around 14, my father tried to stop me because I used to go to school in the morning and return home around 2 or 2:30 pm. Then around 3 or 3:30 pm, I would eat, change my clothes and rush to play cricket. Most days I would only return home around 8 pm. My father was sick of this routine and repeatedly told me to stop, but I simply ignored him because I truly loved sports. It was my passion and my dream for the future. My father continued to stop me. Then one day, there was a shocking news story about a cricket player from Australia who got hit by the ball and passed away. My father saw that news and started thinking that something similar could happen to me. He insisted even more that stop playing cricket. I tried to convince him by saying that such incidents are very rare and that I could be careful while playing. Still, he refused. Even then, I secretly continued practicing cricket. But my father came up with another idea to divert my attention. He arranged home tuition for me. One day, when I came back home and saw the tuition teacher sitting there, I asked who she was. But honestly, I didn't care much at first. I picked up my cricket bat and was about to leave for practice. Suddenly, the tuition teacher shouted at me very seriously and ordered me to come back and attend the session. So I returned, brought my books and sat for tuition. From 9th class to 12th class, studies made cricket slowly fade away from my life. Later, when I was around 14 years old, My father suggested that I should start playing badminton instead. I didn't understand the point of playing badminton because I had rarely followed the game. I told him clearly that I wasn't interested. But my father kept insisting. Later, I decided to give it a try then, and my father could not easily afford them due to business losses. Rackets and shuttlecocks were expensive then, and my father could not easily afford them due to business losses. So I waited. At 15, then 16, then 17, finally, when I was around 17.5 years old, my father bought me my first badminton racket. Even then, I felt uncomfortable because I thought I was already too old to begin learning badminton. But my father encouraged me and said that age doesn't matter if you are willing to learn. Finally, I joined badminton coaching class. But I noticed that most of the players were much shorter than me in the class. I felt a little awkward standing among them. But my father told me, focus on improving your own skills first. So I continued practicing badminton seriously and gradually I became better at the game. At that time, my goal was Olympics, not Deaflympics. Slowly, I improved a lot and started participating in district level and state level competitions. Later, my coach suggested that I should apply for the Deaflympics selection process. I initially thought it meant Disability Olympics, but my coach clarified that it's Deaf Olympics. I asked him how he knew about it. He shared that one of his close friends was already involved in Deaf Olympics events. After that, I started inquiring about the registration process. I spent nearly 6 months searching for information about registrations in Indore, Mumbai, and Delhi. Finally, on March 11, 2017, I went to a special school called MBS School. There I completed my registration. That was also the first time I saw all deaf people together using sign language fluently. I registered for the badminton, and the organizers guided me properly. They even gave me a card showing sign language alphabets. Later, I went to Chennai for the national level event. I played well, reached third position, and won a medal. So that was a national level meet, right? Yes, exactly. It was a national level event, and after that, I also got selected for the Olympic Games. At that moment, I felt extremely thankful and grateful to my father, although I lost the matches there. Around that time, my uncle came to visit me and told me, so you have experienced the Olympics. You are just like your father. At first, I didn't understand what he meant. Then he explained that my father was also a badminton player when he was younger. My uncle showed me my father's old racket. I thought maybe he brought it, but my uncle shared that it's my father's old racket. That was the moment I realized that my father himself had once been a badminton player. I later asked my father about it and he finally admitted that it was true. He had never spoken about it earlier. He simply encouraged me by saying, go and play. That alone gave me enough motivation. From that day onward, I dedicated myself completely to badminton. After the Tokyo badminton selection event in 2017, I invested all my time and effort into practice. Then COVID happened. After that period, I returned to the field again and continued practicing with full dedication. Finally, in 2022, I won a medal and gave it to my father. He was the happiest and I felt like I had fulfilled his dream. Wonderful. Winning that medal must have been something. Beyond your joy, I'd like to know who your role model is. It's Roger Federer. Roger Federer? I love him. He is incredibly talented and unbeatable. Tennis itself is a very demanding sport. Compared to me, who needs to use two hands to handle the racket? He only uses one. I also admired Novak Djokovic. Whenever Federer and Djokovic played against each other, it was always an amazing match to watch. They handle the racket with one hand and play incredibly. For all these reasons, they are my role models. Hopefully, you will definitely achieve another medal in the 2029 Olympics. Yes, I will definitely work hard for the next 4 years. That's great. So you have been practicing diligently. Yes. I have been practicing all this while. All the best. Thank you. A question for Siddharth. This will be the last question. As a board member, when you look at Indian deaf community, do you have any advice for them? Alright. Throughout our discussion, we talked about cochlear implant users, hard of hearing people, technology, and athletes winning medals at the Deaflympics in Japan. It does not mean that deaf people are weak. As human beings, we are all equal. Practice itself is challenging. Whether someone is a cochlear implant user or deaf, our disability is the same. Challenge lies in the fact that there is only one medal and one nation to represent. Practice must be consistent. Just like students spend around 8 hours in school, athletes should also invest serious time in practicing their sport. Society is changing rapidly. Around the world, we can already see huge changes happening because of AI and advanced technology. In the future, even education and jobs may completely change because AI is growing. That could become a major challenge. That is why education is still very important. Education improves communication. At the same time, sports and physical activities are important because in the age of AI, they create space for human effort. We need to balance both education and sports together. What I want to share is that when we aim for and win a medal, it is for our nation and it makes our country proud. Instead, reflect on yourself, improve yourself, and work towards achieving your dreams and goals. Both of you agree with that, right? Even in the future, don't stop halfway. Don't compare yourself with others. Focus on self growth and self improvement. Agree? It was a truly wonderful time. Thank you both for sharing your Tokyo experiences and personal journeys. Thank you once again. Thank you.